Hello, welcome to the Reframing Mindset podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, welcome back to Reframe Mindset Podcast. My name is Constant Brooks, and we're at the end of June. End of June, and yeah, how I feel at the end of June. Still going through it, but uh, we made it to the end of June, and I guess just have to be grateful. You know, it feels different in a sense. At the end of June, I'm on. It's like the reality is setting in now, where it's where it's like you figure out, okay, this is my life now. You know, all the guidance and stuff that you had before is suddenly going away, and you just basically have to just start to carve your own path now. Where I was doing that at the start, somewhat. But if things go wrong, you had some elderly guidance and such like that. But what you realize as you grow older is that you're becoming the one that is guiding people. So it's like people are looking at you at wisdom and such like that. So it's like one of those stuff where every month I'm becoming more independent, where the responsibility is more reliant on me now and such. You and it's becoming more official in the sense that it was kind of unofficial and such like, but it's becoming more official now, and so it's like yeah. So I kind of felt that all of this month, where like for example, since my family one of my family member passed, it's like you just realize that, okay, I'm becoming an adult now and such. The perspective is becoming more apparent, where and I, as I mentioned, I realized that my grandmother was 90 and I was just 26. So it's like there's a lot of life experiences that she went through and such like that, and I'm just coming to see like the end part of it. So it's like one of those stuff would be like, oh my gosh, I can't tell if I will see 90, but it's like there's a lot of things that she, there's a lot of things that be like, bruh, if I am going to see that amount of years, there's a lot of things l- left that I'm going to experience it, and I thought that basically a pandemic was basically one thing. Like there is so much more that I can go through, and it's like, bro, so that was one of the kind of the shocking thing was that happened with in the June, where after the funeral and such like that, it became, and I started went back to work again and start performing. It's like the reality just set in like all those stuff that I've been not I will be told by her. It's real. It's like, bro, it's not. It's like, bro, this is real, and such. It's like it's one of those things where death is real, but you don't actually feel the realness of death until it affect really takes someone that you actually um care about and such. Then all the stuff that people say they feel grieving and all those stuff, it really takes a new meaning and be like, wow, this is what they go through. But you have to actually. But the thing about the grieving is that even though you're grieving, the next while the next as the next day comes, you start a new story about your life without them. Their story ends right there, and boom, your your story is still ongoing, and be like, bro, you know. So that's basically it. That's basically one of the weird things about that and such. And it's like, yeah, and all those stuff that she left behind and stuff. You know, it's a good thing that I actually took the time and heed to all those stuff, so that it could be guidance for me in the future. Next thing is, bro, my blender actually stopped working. It was at the point where it almost caught fire the way way it was being used. So actually, I had to replace that. I know. So as I said, I'm an employee now, so I could actually do the minor purchase and stuff like that, and as well as my phone. One of those unforeseen things actually stopped working as well, and I was able to actually get that fixed as well due to the fact that I'm employed and basically I could actually make the purchase and such. So that's one of the perks of being an employee and actually staying there. One of the unforeseen perks is that if you actually put away your money and save it, some of it, when there's unforeseen things happen, you can actually make those purchase without actually have to be worried. Be like, okay, I can get this replaced and such, without you risking doing some stuff that will just make the problem worse. So yeah, that's one of the good thing about being employed, and yet you have to actually not take for granted. And one of those things where you have to actually sometimes you have to just do some job that you may not be want to do, because as I said, life is unpredictable, as you may realize from life is unpredictable, and as you get older, you have to adjust to new situations, and you can't just be saying, "Okay, I want this reality to go when boom, when these things happen." Every day you wake up, something random can just happen, and you realize that if you've gone through 2020, you realize that so you have to be prepared for rainy day things like these as well. Well, the next thing is, so you mentioned that I know I got the merch live. I know I actually gave one of my family member two of the merch to use, because what happened was that I got the merch and I would actually have them in my home, and I was loving it. I was loving it, but eventually they came, and they usually have some stuff that I have, like some medals that I got during my time going through school. If you listen to the podcast, you know about all those medals and stuff that I won. And then I gave them back to me, and then what happened was that I had some merch. So the merch was actually like the Reframe Mindset podcast merch and the gaming merch, which is some cushions. And I have them, and basically what I basically did was give them to her, and it's just like a way to, cause why not? Why not? So right now, I actually made it harder now to actually get those two ties that I gave to her. I make it harder now to actually get those two bought again. And when I received them, I just place them back in the home. So it's just one of those things where I'd be like, okay, it's one of those kind of test situation where I'd be like, okay, if I actually get this purchase done successfully, it'd be like, okay, I can actually start to get this person to maybe realize reliable be reliable in actually making those form of merch. I mean, I mean, we actually giving it, selling it to people or stuff like that. So as I said, that's one of those things where you have an idea concept, and then it kind of tests you. The first thing you try to get the concept alive. So the merch concept gave her the concept, and she brought it alive. I know the cushion is here and real. You can actually see it on the pages and stuff like that. And then what happened was, I actually gave it away, and now she's making another one. So when I get the other one now, I can actually look at the quality and be like, okay, yes, yes. So this is actually a real thing where I can actually, you know, monetize it and such like that, and boom. And that's another thing as well with the employ the money, saving the money, putting away. You can, when you're working a job, you're working your money. Actually, put it away and save it so that you can actually invest in something else that can maybe get you out of the job, so that you not have to be working the 9 to 5 forever. So if this merging goes live and boom, and I can actually make that as a separate income as well. So yes, you have to actually think about, they say the rich person usually have at least several different type of income stream. Yes, you have to actually think about different income stream, as the 9 to 5 really takes a toll of your 8 hours of day. So you have to actually try to work away from actually getting from working all those 8 hours of day forever. You have to try to work away from that, work towards your retirement and such like that. And the earlier you start, the earlier you actually get closer to that retirement stuff. Hmm. Yeah. What else was, buying from my high school vendor. I work close to my high school, and boom, yeah, but this circle of life where, you just growing up, you just make the purchase with your, maybe my mother's money and such like that from the vendor going to high school. I know being an adult and working my own money and basically having the own money to actually spend at that same vendor, and she actually remember me and such like that. The circle of life. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is the circle of life. So these are things that you're gonna expect when you're trying to break your cycle of what you're growing in, all those stuff, and it's nothing like it. Nothing like it. The next thing is, now another reality is I have a smartwatch, and what happened? Yeah, so if I have the smartwatch, you can have it as well, just like the earpod as well. So what happens is that the podcast can really have some new audio experience for you as well. So like if you want, you can listen to the earpod and your smartwatch as well, bro. So yeah, this podcast is really into the future, and different type of audio experience. Yeah, so. Mhm. Then that me selling the watch, it does the fact that the watch became a reality for me now, so it can become a reality for you. So you can actually have that nice audio, better audio experience for the service. Usually, maybe you just listen it on your computer, on your phone, using some headphone or earphone or such like that, or maybe you one of those futuristic people that always listening with their earpod and such. But now that I have it and I have the Apple Watch, I have the smartwatch as well, you can the average listener can get it as well, and enjoy that nice audio experience as such. Mhm. Yeah. What else was actually was um yeah. So what I also did was actually bought one of my guest books. So I haven't received it as yet, but that's one of the next thing where being an employee does it. I mean, I invest in all those stuff like the guests that I actually had. If you know the name, when they interviewed with Chensu Bennett, yeah, where I actually purchased the book that he mentioned in the podcast, and as I go old and my time get more free, I can take my time to actually go into other things that I never really took seriously growing up, like for example, reading. And what better way to actually do that than supporting someone that you actually know, book that they actually wrote. Get a start there. Get a start there. You never know. Yeah. And what I also going to think about also, if you listen to podcast, you realize that I'm a driver's license for a while, but I was still maybe taking like bus and taxis or such like that, because I never was in the position to actually afford to purchase a car and such like that. But now that I'm actually working and actually saving my money and such like that, one of the things that I could actually do is maybe rent a car and actually start go back and practicing driving. So I could actually rent it on my own, purchase the gas and stuff like that, and actually start practicing and getting those road experiences again. So this is one of those things that I will also look into going into the future months. Going to July and such like that. Yeah. So you never know. Eventually, you see me on the you may see me on the road driving, and then maybe one episode we hear like in the future, be like, oh my god, I just got back from an accident and such like that. So it's one of those things where I have to actually take the risk, and I took the risk and got the license. And now I'm going to take the risk again to actually start learn go back into the driving again. So without these risks and stuff, you never push anything forward. And I think about it is that what I realize, why I'm telling you this way is because once I get that renting into reality, so like for example, the Apple Watch and the smartwatch, once that become my reality, it can become your reality. As I'm working my way out of poverty, just like many people were. Once it become my reality, it can become your reality, and that could become a new standard where boom, everybody can basically say, "Oh, I have access to earpods now, so I could get it, or I could actually steal my earphone or earpod or such like that." Smartwatch can be a reality as well, but so you can use the smartwatch. I can so like for example, I use a smartwatch now to do like cardio tracking and heart rate tracking as well. So if you realize, I'm also trying to get lose weight as well, which I mentioned the weight as well. The smartwatch actually assists with that now, where basically I could use that to track how much cardio I'm doing, my heart rate and stuff like that, to see how much steps it would take for me to actually start to change that pound. So those stuff are really smart watch is convenient that way. That does not neglect the fact of the normal analog watches or the digital watches. Prior to that, it's just that I have the smartwatch now that can be used for a different situation. Yes. Yeah, so this is the same thing with the rental, the car rentals as well. When I actually start doing that now, and then maybe for a month or two of me consistently doing that now, that becomes my reality. So I can actually speak about that and talk about my driving experience and stuff like that. And you, the listener, can actually be like, okay, yes, I can actually make that on my reality as well. Like I could get my license and I could start driving and stuff like that. And you see from my experiences. So that's how it goes. All these stuff that I'm speaking about now. And before I could even do it, I was seeing people doing it and be like, bro, I wish I could do it and stuff like that. But eventually, boom, I was in the person doing it. And then boom, I know I'm talking about it on the podcast. And now you can maybe you will listen to me doing it over and over, and then eventually, boom, then you're doing it, and then you can instill that. That's how the cycle of life goes. Yeah, so that's one of the things that I'm going to look into in the future months, so that it can become a new standard where everybody is able to actually drive, get a license, drive, and then we can start. Once we start to drive, then we can actually start working toward getting our dream car now. So can actually, I've accept the reality that you can actually start with a dream car, but you have to just start somewhere. So that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Next thing is, bro, it's a lot of things that have happened, and by the end of this month, bro, I'm going into new month, like a lot of things. Next thing is, if you realize, I also have LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn profile as well. I think you see it on the top of the podcast page as well. And what I've been recently, as I've been making more progress, I've been getting more connections and more messages and stuff like that. So one of the things I realized after going into this month is after actually start to set out time to actually go and do things like check my email, check my LinkedIn, because I've become more employee like and stuff like that. All those stuff will become more important. So I've actually be able to make personal time to actually deal with that. Look at opportunities, like for example as well that the people have been email me about becoming a guest on the podcast. I never really have time to actually take that into account again, given the reality of work and such like that. So I have to actually make time now to actually look at those emails, those networking opportunities and such, so that I can actually take advantage of them now, because I'm becoming more my own self, my own person now, and I have to actually take the responsibility to actually do the things that will push me forward. And that's one of the things I have to make time to actually network with people that can actually maybe boost my opportunities and such as that. You have to actually do that as well. And speaking about networking, recently, like yes, I recently just got an email about my university having some my faculty having some alumni department stuff, alumni department um Lime, which is it's like a link up. It's like a link up or a reunion as such. It's like a bunch of stuff. They can invite us and what, and there's a price and such. And what I realized that working and whatnot, I can actually afford the price, and I could actually work to go there. So that's something I've been looking forward into of doing because this one I would like to go back to my university and back faculty branch. Just I never if you listen to the podcast, you realize that even though I was in that faculty, I did a lot of I did a lot of my work. I spent like a minimum of my time in that faculty. What I was with the faculty I was at the most was the medical faculty because I was doing biochemistry and most of the lab stuff that biochemistry deal with was in that faculty. So I went to that faculty, but my our degree was in that faculty, the Faculty of Science and Technology. So going there, I will see all these alumni people, but they may not know me, but it was like it would be a great opportunity to maybe introduce myself, maybe kind of first one of the steps after redeem my by by blunder in my years here at university. Let's go back and reconnect because I'm an employee now. I have my own thing now. They're not the sense that I'm relying on them, and the fact that I actually graduated with my degree and I was doing well and such like that. So you can't. It's a way to actually re get myself reintroduce myself back into the science community now. To actually start with the progress. To actually do further stuff in science. So yeah, it's one of those steps to reintroduce myself back into the science community. So that's something I'm going to look forward to in the next month as well. Mhm. What else? Yes. So if you listen to the podcast in the first year that I got the home, you realize that when I was cleaning the backyard, it took like around 37 days or such to actually clean the backyard due to the fact that I was a really novice with the tool that I was using, the machete and stuff. My body was not built for that. But this month, what happened was that my mother got one of someone that they knew to try to clean the backyard, and for him it took like 2 days. So that's basically that kind of lesson is for. Basically, what happened is that expert versus amateur. This person has been doing that thing for a while and such. And so when he came in, just basically did it in 2 days when I was struggling to do in 37. But the thing about it, the lesson that I want to take it from that is if I never did that 37 days and actually did that hard work to actually get remove like the stones and such and the stick and such like that, if this year in the second year after home ownership when my mother got that person do it, he would never do the stuff I did in that 37 days. So he just basically would do because he's not obligated to do it. I'm the homeowner now, so it's my vision of what I want a home to be like. So I would have to actually put in that hard work those tours every day to get that vision alive. And then now I could actually get him now to in the future to do that minor cleaning now. So that they could actually take advantage of the dirt to actually do more planting and such like that. But it's one of those perspective, two lessons from that is, you know, amateur versus expert are more experienced, not expert. Amateur before versus more experience. The more experience that you are, the better or faster you can actually do the same work. And next thing is, even though you're more experienced, people can actually do the same work faster and stuff like that. Sometimes it's good for you to actually do it yourself because you know the vision that you want. If you start and get the initial vision aligned, then you can get more expert people to actually come and maintain the vision. So that's the lesson for that there that I was trying to impart with that experience in this month. And uh, and so as I said, I talk about the smartwatch being able to track my cardio and such that just check the weight again and boom, I'm back to 200 pounds. And because I never really actually was doing any exercise recently, I was going to work and such like that. But this 200 pound is kind of not really as bad as it was when I was trying to lose the weight. No, I think I'm getting older. This 200 pound weight could kind of be like fit into my body mass index. So that's the reason why it may not it did not seem as bad as it was when looking at myself going to work. But I'm going to actually eventually have to take time to actually maybe active effort to actually go to the gym. I have the ability to go to the gym now, being an employee. If you listen to the gym episode, and I have the stuff, the things that I need to actually go to the gym and such. So it just meet for me to actually make the time to go there now. That's the thing. Make the time to go there and then actually do it. So yeah, things are changing in this second year. I'm actually moving towards the future, moving towards becoming taking more responsibility to my health and all those stuff, finances and everything. And you know that and what happened was all of this had to. I don't. All this happened. Well, I was doing it before, but my reality of my grandmother passing, someone that that guide me through most of those situation, make it more real for me. And now I just all I have now is the memories and the lesson that she imparted of me before she passed to actually guide me into making these future decisions. Yeah. So that's basically for this episode. It's a lot of things that covering in this end of June update. So ending June is really something, but I guess there's more once I make it to July, there's more opportunities as you may listen to the podcast of me to get. So I have to just take it one day at a time and see what happens. So thank you for listening and look forward for the next episode. Mhm.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page Reframing Mindset Podcast or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
Things takes time. Things takes time. And you know why I say that? Because you have the same Rome wasn't built in a day, but there was laying bricks. I think every second or something like that. I think that's what the saying says. But the thing about it is that great things don't just happen instantly. It takes time to actually um make it to the way that you that is that you love. And that's the thing where, for example, a lot of people will start maybe listening to this podcast and be like, oh my gosh, I love this podcast and this is my favorite podcast and stuff like that and stuff. But to me, it's it has been a rough journey to get it to this level. And